Hey, welcome to Brighter Rays. This week is Colossians 4, 7 through 18. This study's called Remember My Chains. Now, we finally have reached the end of this letter from the Apostle Paul. Though it's been several months since we started looking at it, this letter is only really 4 chapters long and is easily read in one sitting. Now, the letters of the New Testament writers were short and succinct, all of them. Probably a number of factors that cause this, but things like the lack of writing materials, and that these were to be read audibly before the whole congregation, so it's not going to be super long. Then they were sent on to the next congregation, so you could only do what you could only write what was going to be carried by whoever was carrying it. You couldn't have a whole volumes and volumes of work to have one person carry. So that's probably why it was different like that. That's probably why you had, the shortness of all these letters. It could be longer, but this letter specifically says that they were to send the letter to the church in the neighboring city of Laodicea. But because these letters were read in their entirety, it makes sense that we should hear the main themes repeated often throughout the course of the letter. What are some of the main topics here? Well, first and foremost is that Jesus is preeminent before all things. In the theological section of the book, which is really chapters 1 and 2, we see how Christ's transcendence and superiority inform the rest of the ideas about God. If we miss that Jesus is preeminent, then we have a false God, and everything else doesn't really make any sense afterwards. The second prominent theme is that of thanksgiving. Paul mentions several times that he gave thanks to God for what was going on, and he often gave the reason as to why he was giving thanks. So he wasn't just telling them, "Hey, I give thanks." He would say, here's why I would give thanks, and why you should be thankful. Again, since Christ is preeminent, then a Christian should and must be thankful. Paul spent a lot of time talking about knowledge and understanding and wisdom. He struggled so that the people would reach all the riches of the full assurance of understanding and the knowledge of God's mystery, which is Christ, in whom are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. Paul also warned against false teaching and false understanding and wisdom that would threaten to take them captive. We can point to many more themes, but those are the main 3. Now, in our text for today, we have 3 main sections that we're going to be looking at throughout this whole week here. We're going to start today. Today's the introduction, and then tomorrow we'll get into the main part of the text. Now, in verses 7 through 9, which will be the first section we look at, we have Paul informing the church that he is sending 2 men with this letter of Colossians, and they will fill them in on everything that's taken place. So you have the letter, plus you have the guys that are going. That will be also adding more information. And then verses 10 through 17, Paul will give his final greeting and messages. And then finally in verse 18, he gives his customary salutation, which we'll spend a little time talking about as well. So that's where we're heading this week. That's the goal. And so come back next time. We'll look at verses 7 through 9.